Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, if you've been keeping up in the news on the doctor's leaked emails, yes, you know which doctor I'm talking about. I don't have to say his name, because it's YouTube and we know we have to be careful about what we say on here. But you're probably aware of by now that over the last few days that the internet has been abuzz over these leaked emails. A lot more stuff is coming out about it. You can see some of the news that I'm showing you here. It's interesting that the mainstream news is just kind of dead silent on this. They don't want to talk about it. They want to hear about it. But there's more to it than just some, leaked emails. There's also now some threats from a very big adversary. That's right, China is saying that they need to prepare for nuclear war. That's right. If the United States chooses to investigate their lab and this health crisis and where it originally originated at, and that they are going to the extent of saying that, they're preparing for nuclear war. Now, whether or not that's what's going to happen is another story, but I want to talk about that for a little bit and what some of the ramifications could be from all this, because again, it's YouTube and we have to be careful about what we're going to say on here. Before I get started, a couple of things. If you don't mind, I'll spit it out. If you don't mind, go ahead and click that like and subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing. It's not painful. You can just click the little button, and that way you can be updated on when I post new videos. Also, for you local folks, we are having another meeting this coming Sunday. It's at the same time and same place as the last one in Texas County, Missouri, and it'll start at around 2 o'clock officially. We usually get there, an hour and a half early and kind of mingle. There'll be some chips and dip and, that kind of stuff, some light food. But we'll be there. And if you want to get some more information, because I don't like putting out the, details of exactly where we're at and stuff online, because, you never know what crazy person is watching. But if you want to, you can shoot me a message. And I'll put there should be my email right down here at some point, and you can shoot me a message and I'll give you the details of that if you are somewhere in driving distance that you want to come to, and we'll have another meeting, get to know each other more, learn a little bit, plan for the future, and most importantly, kind of build that community feel here in the Ozarks. All right. So, we have, there's just been a lot going on with this. It was a week or two ago when Senator Rand Paul was grilling the doctor under oath at a committee hearing on whether or not he knew about any money being sent over to China to fund their laboratory. And, some other things surrounding that about, could the health crisis have originated in this lab instead of a bat, which is what the narrative is. And I'm not going to go into the details of what we've thought all along. I know many of you probably think like I do about where the true origins are, and we're not really going to go into that in this video. Because that's not where I want to take it. But it is, there seems to be some growing evidence and there always has been, but more evidence and more, like the mood is starting to change with a lot of people. That more and more people, including some on the left, are starting to say, this is starting to look a little fishy. Maybe this doctor, it's time for him to retire. Maybe it's time for him to step down. There's been calls for that. There is a group of Republicans that are wanting to start an investigation on this whole matter. So there's more and more starting to come out on that. And that is a can of worms, and we've all known that. We've all known that that there's way more to this than what we've been told over the past year or so. A little, not quite a year and a half yet, but getting close. That there's been way more to this. That there were certain people that were once in the White House were saying one thing, and the news media was saying something different, and you had this doctor kind of in the middle, bouncing back and forth between, what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and what's safe and what's not safe, and where it came from and where it didn't come from. And it seemed to change every time he got up to talk. And then here we are, year and a half later, with an economy that was nearly destroyed. It was definitely severely damaged, especially in certain areas of the country. Lots of businesses. Think of the amount of small businesses that were completely destroyed because of all this. And just, there's a lot of repercussions that's happened because of this. And then now it's starting to come out that, well, maybe there were some people that were right. Maybe they were right about the real origins of this and what's really going on. And so they're wanting to do an investigation, not only on the origins, but also the fact that it looks like the United States government funded a lot of that research. Now, for you and I'm sure you're saying, well, I already knew that. That's no big surprise, and I'm not saying that it is. But it's becoming more public, and I suspect that this is all part of their little game. That's my gut feeling on this. I don't think that there's anything new being discovered, and people are shocked, and especially those in power, like, oh, wait a minute, we didn't know that. They all knew all this. This is just part of their little charade that they play with us. And part of that is that China is a little upset. And they don't want to be blamed for this. The official story is they don't want to be blamed for this. They feel that they're innocent. And they're now making threats. If you push this investigation, if you try to go down this route, then we are prepared to go to war over it. They've also made comments that pointing out that past crises, health crises, diseases have popped up in parts of the world near United States laboratories. So they've pointed that out. So there's this kind of saber-rattling, mudslinging fest that's already started. Do I really think that we're going to go to war over China over this? My gut tells me no. My gut tells me it's all part of the game. It's all part of this charade. But it doesn't mean I'm right, and it doesn't mean that we wouldn't go to war with them over things. There's been a building and brewing, saber-rattling back and forth between us and China for several years now. And it's very easy to point out that neither country would be really benefited from a war like that. They need us as much as we need them. But you could certainly make an argument that China is hell-bent on global domination, and they feel that we are the biggest roadblock for their dominating the financial markets, for them dominating the global currencies, and just dominating and being the world's superpower. They want to be at that point. And even Biden recently has said that they want to be the world superpower within the next few years. So that's not a big secret. And if that were to happen, they already control a lot. A lot of things would change. And I made a video not too long ago about that, how big a deal it would be that America loses its number one spot, loses its power of influence and social influence, political influence, military influence, technological, financial influence, by no longer being the biggest and the baddest around. There's an SHTF right there for us, because it's something that Americans have never experienced, at least current living ones. And I believe it would drastically change a lot of things in our lives and around the world, if we're no longer in in a position of real power, because we've become too weak and too broken and too just no longer able to maintain our superpower status. Is there something that we need to be worrying about, though? Is this something we need to be worrying about, you and I, from a preparedness standpoint? And I say yes. I say yes because I think the number one thing that would come out of this is more kind of trade wars and more damage to our economy and damage to our currency, which we're seeing already on its own, with hyperinflation that seems to be just over the next rise. Global food costs. I was reading today that global food costs are up 30% increase, and of course we're well aware of all the other commodities and different things that's gone up in price, and getting into it with China would probably only worsen that. And I know that wars actually help economies sometimes, but I think this one would be different. And we're seeing something begin here. Is it the beginning of the end? Some might say the beginning's already started. It started a while back, and we're just kind of realizing that this war, Cold War, that could very easily end up into a physical hot war, has already begun. And I think it's something that you and I should certainly be prepared for. I think food, supplies, shipping, goods and services, or goods at least, and then the services that follow those goods, are going to take a hit if this continues happening. Depending on how it plays out is the big thing. The global community, I don't think the global community wants to admit that China is the bad guy in this, that they're the ones that started all this. But there's certainly a growing amount of Americans that are starting to wake up and say, you know what, this does sound fishy. Maybe we should look into this. I mean, we've taken a big hit as a nation over this whole thing, and if we find out that it was another nation, an adversarial nation, that purposely started this, and then we find out that our own people and our own government funded it, that's significant. I think that you and I, as preppers, got to do what we always do. I mean, we just keep getting ourselves more prepared, because the likelihood of something like this happening, some type of conflict, is probably increasing in odds. I don't want to be one to come out here and say, we're going to war with China, we got to get ready, because I'm not really at that point myself personally. There's definitely things happening around the world. We've been talking about the meat packing facilities that's been shut down. Was reading also today. That's equivalent to about 18 million pounds of beef a day. 18 million pounds of beef a day that's not being processed. Over 22,000 head of cattle a day are not being processed because of this. That's going to create some shortages. It's going to create some backlogs. It's going to hurt the whole system as a whole. That one company dominates almost a quarter of the market because of their size. And this whole shutdown. It's affecting not just here in the United States, but Brazil and Australia and other places. We're seeing Iran. They've just in the last 48 hours, one of their big ships sank for unknown reasons, or whatever the reason is, and then a big oil refinery caught fire. And I don't think those kind of things are coincidences either. So we're seeing this isn't new, continual movement on a global stage that seems to be a bunch of chess pieces being set up in the right position. Is it all for show? Is it part of their plan? Is it part of this whole charade? I'm sure it is, but that doesn't mean that it would not end up in an actual war, and that we as a nation would not end up in an actual war. So we still need to prepare for that. We need to I think, take it seriously to a certain extent. And this whole thing with the doctor and his emails and the funding of the lab, it's a whole new can of worms. And the media just doesn't want to touch it at all. And I think more and more we're going to find out what possibly went on to a certain extent. You know how these things are. We'll probably never know the full truth, but we certainly might start finding out more as some of this stuff becomes available. So get your preparations in order. If it starts to look like an actual war with China is possible, you need to be going over your preparedness plans. What is your plan for nuclear war? I know that there's an unlikely chance of that happening, but I think that we can't just ignore it. We have to, take it somewhat serious and be prepared for that, and be prepared for the fact that, trade services, the trading of goods between the two countries could stop, and many other things that could happen, because as much as we don't like China, we're very tightly and closely connected with them. And a war with China, it could be very devastating because of how much they control in our market. So, again, as this unveils and unfolds, I think we're gonna start seeing more mudslung and more saber rattling, and very possibly some serious allegations as to where this all happened, where it got started, who funded it, and who really knew what was going on. And when those things start happening and start becoming more public, things could start heating up. And again, I'm not trying to hype the situation up, but I do believe it would be wise to be aware of it and to do what we can do in our own little world to be prepared for something like this, because I don't personally think that China wants to actually nuke us, and they don't actually want to have a physical war with us, but they do want to dominate us. They do want to rule us. They do want to control us. And so we can never be fully sure of to what lengths that they will go to do just that, and what opportunities they would take to exert their iron fist over America. All right, folks. Let me know if you're interested in going to this meeting this coming weekend on Sunday. Like I said, shoot me an email. I can give you some more details. And I hope to see a lot of you there. The last one we had over 100 people, and it was a really good meeting. And we learned a lot. We shared a lot. And I think we got some good things going. So I hope to see you there. All right, folks, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.